Hello students, I hope all of you are fine, you are doing good in your day-to-day life and also you are studying properly. So previously we saw the types of chemical reactions. Also we discussed what is combination reaction. We will discuss the further reactions again today here, and if something is left we will do it again in the further videos. So let's begin without delaying. So today what we will discuss is first is the decomposition reaction. As I said previously, decomposition reactions are those reactions in which a substance breaks down to form two or more products. Just like a microorganism breaks a food substance, food material into different parts, similarly in this chemical reaction also a single substance will be breaking down into two or more substances, two or more products, which will be different from that of the substance in which the reaction is happening, to whom the reaction is happening, provided there are different circumstances. So that means we will have to apply some external energy for a substance to break down, because just like itself the food substance, just in case of the food substance, it does not itself breaks down. Okay, it's the microorganism under different circumstances which breaks the food into different parts. Okay, so just like the organic substances breaks down, in a similar way our chemical substance will also be breaking down. So let's see what is given in activity 1.5. Here in activity 1.5 you will have to take 2 grams of ferrous sulfate crystals in a dry boiling tube. So the boiling tube means the test tube, you don't worry about that. So how the test tube should be, it should be dry, and then we will have to take about 2 grams of ferrous sulfate in it. Okay, so before you were doing any further reaction, you need to observe what is the color of the ferrous sulfate crystals. Now you have observed the color of the ferrous sulfate crystals. What you have to do next is heat the test tube. Okay, just as shown in the figure over here, that girl is holding the test tube with a pair of tongues, and then inside we have is ferrous sulfate crystals. So now at the bottom of the test tube the girl is applying heat. That means we are heating the test tube. Now after you have applied heat, you will see that there is some kind of color which is changing. Okay, after heating the color of the crystals has changed. So what will happen to the color of the ferrous sulfate crystals? That means what? Before, ferrous sulfate crystals had a green color. After heating, this green color of the ferrous sulfate crystals will change. Just as shown in the figure, these fumes are generated, gases are evolved. Okay, so gases are produced. This will have some kind of odor, okay, which will be of burning sulfur. So sulfur gases have a very foul smell. If you have got the smell of hydrogen sulfide H2S, it has a very foul smell which is not pleasant to smell. Okay, that is because of the presence of sulfur in hydrogen sulfide. Here also in ferrous sulfate, sulfur is there, and once it is heated, what will happen? This smell will produce. This is because of the application of heat. That means after the application of the heat, there is some change which has been happening in the system. So all of this color change, the smelly odor which is produced, is due to the reaction that is happening in the system. That means you have applied heat to whom? You have applied heat to at the bottom of the test tube, but inside the test tube there was ferrous sulfate. So ferrous sulfate, that means you have applied heat to the ferrous sulfate crystals. So ferrous sulfate crystals, after heating, it changes and changes a green color and produces foul smell. This is because the ferrous sulfate breaks down into ferric oxide and the gases of sulfur dioxide. So what are these gases of sulfur dioxide? Because the sulfur gases breaks down. So what are the types of these sulfur gases are? These are sulfur dioxide and sulfur trioxide. So these are the two forms of sulfur gases. So in the equation 1.1 19 the equation of this reaction is given. What is this equation? Is that ferrous sulfate, obviously it is in solid form, we have taken the crystals, so it will be in the solid form, hence we are writing the physical state as solid. Then we have applied the heat, so the reaction is forwarding on this side, that's why we are putting the arrow on this side. This side is the left hand side, there we represent the reactants. On the right hand side we show the products. Okay, so arrow we give on that side on which the reaction is taking place or going forward. So we have applied what? We have applied heat, so above the arrow you will have to write in this way. Then the products which are being formed is ferric oxide. What is its formula? Fe2O3. Okay, so one thing, interesting thing is there, the valency of iron is multiple or double, you could say. Okay, so it has not only one valency but it has two valencies. These are 2 and 3. So here the valency of iron is 3, that's why here 3 is coming, behind the oxygen 3 is coming, and this 2 comes from the valency of oxygen. Okay, so that's why Fe2O3. The name is ferric oxide. So this also solid will remain there, the solid substance. This was just heated, no water was applied, so solid form, in the solid form only the oxide will come out. Okay, so this will break down. One substance which is formed is ferric oxide, the other substances which are formed will be the gases of sulfur. So these gases are in the form of sulfur dioxide and sulfur trioxide. Dioxide because here 2 oxygens are there, here 3 oxygens are there, so sulfur dioxide and sulfur trioxide gases. So as I said that a single substance breaks down to give 2 or more products. So a single substance has broken down to give 2 or more products, here 3 products, so it is a decomposition reaction. That's it, as simple as that. Okay, see, there are certain things which you need to keep in mind in order to score good in examination. That is that you need to learn these paragraphs. Okay, after an activity, whatever the note has been given, the observation which is given in this kind of paragraphic form, that's why you will need to learn all of this observation which is being given in the paragraph. It is very, very, very important from the exam point of view, and also to understand the reaction, also to understand all of the activity which is being given in the book. So here it says that ferrous sulfate crystals. So can you see the formula of the ferrous sulfate? In general we write FeSO4, and here comma 7H2O is given. Okay, so this is something called the water of crystallization, which we are going to learn in the chapter 2, that is the acids, bases and salt chapter, chapter 2 of this class 10 book. So FeSO4.7H2O, that is the actual formula of ferrous sulfate, but in general we can neglect it and write FeSO4. Why is that? We will learn in the next chapter. So as of now you just learn this. Okay, so when we heat, as what happens is that ferrous sulfate, the water which is here attached with ferrous sulfate, it is lost. Okay, so when we heat it, the water which is present with the ferrous sulfate is lost, and this water is responsible. So this water which is actually attached with ferrous sulfate is responsible for the green color of the ferrous sulfate. So when we heat the ferrous sulfate, it is lost. Okay, so and hence the color of which is also gone, definitely. Now after that, what happens is that it decomposes. It decomposes to what we have seen that, and that is ferric oxide, sulfur dioxide and sulfur trioxide. So we know the solid states of the ferric oxide and also that of sulfur dioxide and sulfur trioxide. Another example which is given here in the book is that of limestone. So when we heat limestone, it again breaks down into quicklime and carbon dioxide. Okay, so see, so this limestone, chemical name of this limestone is known as calcium carbonate. Okay, now you are heating this calcium carbonate and it is dissociated into calcium oxide. So calcium oxide, that will be obviously in the solid form, and carbon dioxide gas is formed. Okay, so what is formed? Carbon dioxide gas. This calcium oxide, the common name of this calcium oxide is quicklime. This kind of names are important because in exam directly the question might not come as write the reaction between calcium oxide and water, or yeah, so in the exam how the question will come, what happens when quicklime reacts with water, or what happens when limestone is heated. So that's why you need to know the names. Okay, so it has two names. The chemical name is calcium carbonate and the common name is limestone. So when we heat limestone, it breaks into quicklime and carbon dioxide gas is evolved. This is a very interesting reaction from our industrial point of view. In our day-to-day life also, in order to construct our house, construct our buildings, we need something which is very important. And what is this? Cement. So how is this cement produced? This reaction is used. So quicklime, the calcium oxide, which is very important for our day life. Okay, so this is the element which is used in the manufacture of cement. So see the decomposition reaction, how we have carried on this decomposition reaction. These are by applying heat. So there are again the types of decomposition reaction. Under types of chemical reaction, decomposition reaction is the second type. Again there are subtypes of decomposition reaction. That means the subtype is like one is thermal decomposition. Okay, so when we apply heat to break a substance, a chemical substance, then it is known as thermal decomposition. When a decomposition reaction is carried out by heating, it is called what? It is called thermal decomposition reaction. So in exam, another way how the question might come is like, right, what is define decomposition reaction? Right, what are the types of decomposition reaction with example? So the first type is thermal decomposition reaction, and we know thermal means heat. Okay, so know the meaning, and you don't have to memorize things. Know the meaning. So thermal means heat, and hence since heat is applied, this reaction is known as thermal decomposition. Decomposition because it is breaking down, decomposing. A single substance is decomposing. Okay, that's it. So in total there are 3 examples which is given for thermal decomposition reaction. Third, we are going to see. It's important to see each and every example because in exam the questions come from this example itself. Let's check on this now. Okay, so activity 1.6. So what is it given in activity 1.6 is that you will have to take 2 gram lead nitrate powder in a boiling tube. That means in test tube you will have to take 2 gram of lead nitrate powder. Okay, now then you will have to hold the boiling tube with a pair of tongs and heat it over a flame. Just like other experiments which we discussed, here also you will have to heat the test tube with a flame, and then you will have to notice the change which is undergoing. So that is all about the experiment. So let's see what are the experiments, what are the results of the experiment. So what is it saying? That you will observe the emission of brown fumes. Okay, so what do we observe in this reaction? See, these are important. These results are important because it directly in exam this kind of question comes. So I'm telling you again and again, if you want to score good, you will have to check on this examples and the results. So here in the book it is saying that a brown fume is emitted. What is emitted? A brown fume. So these fumes are of nitrogen dioxide. Okay, so whenever nitrogen dioxide is formed, you will come to know that nitrogen dioxide has formed only when because of the emission of brown fumes. Okay, so in the reaction when lead nitrate is heated, then brown fume is produced. That is because of the formation of nitrogen dioxide. And what is the formula of nitrogen dioxide? It is NO2. So this is NO2. Everything is given in your book itself. So from there only the question comes. Okay, so these are the results on which the question will come. about the how the question comes in exam, that also after the end of the video, that means after the end of the whole explanation of the whole class, I will do another video in that only. Okay, so let's see how does the equation looks like. So the equation for this chemical reaction is shown in the equation number 1.21. There you can see that the formula of the lead nitrate, it is the formula for the symbol for lead is Pb and its valency is 2. For nitrate is a polyatomic ion whose symbol is NO3, all of this together. Okay, so NO3 is the symbol for nitrate and the valency of nitrate is 1. So Pb2 positive, NO3 negative. Now since they are combining together to form lead nitrate, then the formula of the lead nitrate will look this way. So PbNO3 whole 2, the valency will be written in this way. The inside the bracket nitrate is there and NO3, you cannot miss any of the number, any letters which is present in the symbol. Okay, then whole of the meaning will change. So since nitrate is a polyatomic ion and we write the valency in this way, so that is also given in class 9. If you do not recall this, go through the class 9 lesson again, the chapter 4. So this is in the solid form, then it is heated to form lead oxide. So one of the product we know which is formed is nitrogen dioxide. Okay, another product which is formed, important one, is also oxide, so lead oxide. Another one, the gas which is formed over here is oxygen. Obviously only oxygen is there, nitrogen is there, so nitrogen dioxide and also oxygen gas will release. So two gases are released here, nitrogen dioxide and oxygen. The brown form is because of the formation of nitrogen dioxide. So these three are all the examples of thermal decomposition. So one thing which you have noticed, you should notice that the in thermal decomposition, the chemical substance which we are doing, decomposition, thermal decomposition we are doing, that is always in the solid form. Here all of these are in the solid form. Now once you heat that chemical substance, obviously of some metallic chemical substances, that when you heat, what happens, it always breaks down to form the oxide of that very respective metal. So for ferrous sulfate, the metal was iron, ferrous. Okay, so you have heated it, the oxide form will be iron oxide or ferric oxide in the first reaction we saw. Second example, that was of limestone, heating of limestone, calcium carbonate. So when you heat calcium carbonate, calcium oxide is formed. Now again you have heated lead nitrate. What is formed over here is lead oxide, and the respective gases that you can recall only after you have practiced enough. Okay, so this lead nitrate, when you heat this lead nitrate, lead oxide plus nitrogen dioxide plus oxygen gas is released. That is it. Clear to all of you? So let's go to the second type of decomposition reaction, which is electrolytic decomposition reaction. So here in the figure, as you can see, it is shown over here is electrolysis of water. So electrolysis of water is an example of electrolytic decomposition reaction. So what is electrolysis of water? Let's see from activity 1.7. Okay, so this is a little bit longer experiment. Let me say it broadly without going to each and every step. As you can see from the figure, there is a plastic mug and inside there are some electrodes fitted to the plastic mug. So these electrodes are made up of carbon. So next what you will have to do is that you will have to connect these electrodes to a battery which will have approximately a voltage 6 volt. Now After connecting these electrodes to a 6-volt battery, you will have to fill the mug with water such that electrodes are almost immersed, just like as it is shown in the figure. After that, you will have to add few drops of H2SO4. H2SO4. What is H2SO4? It is an acid. What acid it is? It is a stronger acid. Okay. So the chemical name of H2SO4 is sulfuric acid. Sorry, the chemical name is H2SO4, and the name it is sulfuric acid. So sulfuric acid, you will have to add it to this, add in this water. After adding sulfuric acid here, what you will have to do is that the electrodes which are immersed inside the water as given in this apparatus, you have to do is that you will have to cover up these electrodes. Okay, these are the electrodes which are immersed inside the water. Now what you are doing is that you were covering these electrodes with test tube. Can you see it? So this black, that whole black shape, this completely black shape is the carbon electrodes. To that we are covering it with test tubes. Both the electrodes we are doing this. Okay. Now the setup is ready for the experiment. Next what we have to do is that we will have to switch on the current. Okay. So we will have to switch on the current, and then we cannot disturb the apparatus, otherwise the experiment might not undergo properly the way we want to. Okay, so keep it undisturbed for a while after switching the current. After that you will see that once after current is being flowing, it is the current is there, you will see some bubbles are generating, just like it is shown in the figure. The currents are the bubbles are generated over here. Okay, so they are also inside the test tube. Water will go definitely, then you can see the bubbles generating. So what happens is that the bubbles, when they are forming inside the test tube, what it does, it displaces the water inside the test tube. Now you will have to see whether the gas which is being generated in both the electrodes, when the gas is generated, we can see in both the electrodes it is generated. Now what we will have to observe, whether the amount of the gas which is produced in both of the electrodes is same or not. Okay, so carefully we will have to remove the test tube. Okay, after the test tubes are filled with the respective gases, we will have to remove it carefully, and then we will have to take out of the apparatus, and outside just try to bring a burning flame, a burning candle, you can say. You bring a flame and just above the test tube. Okay, so just above the test tube, suppose this is the test tube and this is the mouth of the test tube, and gases will be available here at this environment. Okay, so next what you will have to do, suppose this is the candle flame, which is burning, you just bring it in here in this position, then you can see some kind of changes. So why is this change happening? Why this kind of bubbles are forming? What is this gas which is formed on the electrodes and inside the test tube? We are going to see it now. So this you will get more properly in the next chapter, but here let me say why this is happening. It is because of the evolution of hydrogen gas. Okay, H2SO4, what happens in H2SO4 is that so H2SO4, This is an acid, and we all know that acid has H positive ions in common. So when this acid comes in contact with water, it dissociates to give H positive and SO4 2 negative. So this anion will be forming depending upon what kind of acid you are taking. If you are taking HCl, then it will give H positive and Cl negative. So anion depends upon the type of acid you are considering here or you are taking in the experiment. Here, since we have taken H2SO4, that's why cation which is forming here is H positive and anion which is forming here is SO4 2 negative sulfate. So that means what is produced here is ions. So every acids give H positive. Okay, those substances which dissociates to give H positive when they come in contact with water are acids. So anions are forming H positive, SO4 2 negative. What do we know? How is electricity conducted in a system, in an electric circuit? This is because of the flow of electrons. So when ions are generated, then it is able to flow electricity through it. So in electrolysis of water, how we are doing is that if water is completely pure that means no other minerals or any other substances are there in water, that means the distilled water where it is only H2 and nothing else, then it is not as good conductor of water. It is not as good conductor, as we know that water is a conductor of electricity. Water is a conductor of electricity only when it has some kind of this kind of ions inside it. Okay, so for that you will need to have some kind of salts and all, some kind of minerals, some kind of which is being dissolved in the water. So once you are adding acid to water, it is dissociating itself to give H positive and other anion respectively. So this can let water to conduct electricity. So this phenomenon is the electrolysis of water. When we are adding some kind of electrolytes, this will be known as electrolytes, and that is how water is being the current is being conducted in water. So that is the electrolysis of water. So what this example says, that electrolysis of water is an example of electrolytic decomposition reaction. So the second type is electrolytic decomposition reaction. Okay, what is electrolytic decomposition? Sorry, I have not given this here. So electrolytic decomposition reaction. So we saw the so example is electrolysis of water. Electrolysis of water is an example of electrolytic decomposition reaction. Okay, so next let's see another type. So what is the third type of decomposition reaction? Is third type is photolytic decomposition. Photo. So what is photo? You know, no? Photo, we say that is a nice photo of your picture, that photo. Okay, so that photo term, so it has came from photons. Okay, so these are some particles which is present in the sun rays, that you will learn in higher classes what is photo. So photo means light actually. So photo, it means light. So there's some light, using some light we use that technique, photolytic, taking pictures of the technique. So let's see what is photolytic decomposition. Definitely the activities are good ways to understand this kind of experiments, the reactions. So activity 1.8, let's see what is there. take about 2 gram silver chloride in a china dish. In a dish you will have to take 2 gram of silver chloride. Silver chloride is a chemical substance as shown in the picture here. You will have to take some silver chloride in this dish. Okay, then you observe the color of the this silver chloride. Okay, now you let this chemical substance that you have taken in a dish to be in sunlight for some time. Then you after that you observe the color of the silver chloride. You will notice that silver chloride color has changed. It was before whitish. Okay, after you have kept it in sunlight for a while, then you will see that the color of the silver chloride has changed from white to gray. Okay, in presence of sunlight this happens. So there is some reaction which is happening in presence of what? Sunlight, in presence of light. So that's why it is known as photolytic decomposition. So since it is a decomposition reaction, so a single substance will break down into different substances, chemical products. Okay, so silver chloride, silver, formula of silver is Ag, chlorine is Cl, that valency, both has valency 1, so AgCl. Okay, in presence of sunlight it will break down to give silver and chlorine. So since the chlorine, it is a homoatomic gas. Homoatomic gases you will have to write in diatomic form or triatomic form in a chemical reaction. So it has to be balanced. Since the form is Cl2, it is a homoatomic gas, so it will stay as Cl2. Likewise, oxygen, nitrogen, hydrogen, they are also homoatomic gases and stays in diatomic form. Oxygen is O2, bromine Br2, iodine I2, hydrogen H2. So these things you need to keep in mind. So since it is Cl2, here we will have to balance it 2 in front of silver chloride. Now chlorine is also 2 on the left hand side and it is also 2 on the right hand side. So but what is happening, silver is also having 2. Okay, so it is not same on the both side. That's why you will have to put 2 over here also in front of silver. So that is it. So these are the types of decomposition reaction. Another example is there. Let's see it again. The other example is of silver bromide. So it also behaves in the similar way because they are of same kind of substance. In periodic table you will know what is halogen. So say chlorine, bromine, fluorine, iodine, these are known as halogen and it falls in group 17 in the periodic table and their valency is 1. So they are in the family of halogen. So say they belong to same family, so they will behave in a similar way. So just like silver chloride, silver bromide will also show the same characteristic. Okay, these two reactions, these are used for black and white photography. Okay, so that reel which we know, which we saw in our early childhood days, that it was not the nowadays how it is click. We have the digital photography. Before this kind, the reel, in reels we used to take the photos. Okay, so that old camera there we used to put the reel and then we used to click, then that reel has to be taken to some photoshops. Okay, yeah, there you take out the photos, isn't it, that childhood days. So that those photo that technique you used to use this reactions, this salts they use, and this was used for black and white photography. So the components which are used for black and white photography are silver chloride, silver bromide, and the reaction is this. So the energy which is used here is light, sunlight. So the decomposition reactions which require energy either in the form of heat, light, or electricity for breaking down the reactants. So we have seen all of this. Okay, so heat we have seen, electricity we have seen, now we have seen the sunlight, the light energy. So these are the forms of energy which is used So in decomposition reaction we use some forms of energy. So that was the last type of decomposition reaction, that is the photolytic decomposition reaction. Here you see that all of this has absorbed energy. So it is sunlight, the heat, the electricity in the reacting system to this energy we were supplying. Okay, so this will be known as endothermic reaction. So these are the types of endothermic reactions also. So endothermic reaction means endo means inside, thermic means energy. So inside the system energy is going, hence it is known as endothermic reaction. So that's all for today. Let's just go and rest. After resting, again do your study things. So bye guys, see ya.